What's up, guys? Welcome to the weekly technicals live session for January 13th, 2000. Oops, there's a mistake there. That's 2019, not 2018. 1 second, just fixing that. Alright, so for this upcoming week, guys, we're going to start off looking at the economic calendar, at the different fundamentals and news releases for the week. So for today, we really don't have anything, relatively light. Same for Monday. We just have one medium impact news event for New Zealand dollar. But if you look at Tuesday, we have quite a bit of news releases. So 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for New York session, we have dollar index news. So we'll probably be focusing on looking for any trade setups during New York session on Tuesday. So we probably won't trade London, but we'll definitely more than likely be looking for something to trade during New York session. And let's see, for 7 a.m. we have a ECB speaker, so Draghi speaks. And we also have the Brexit vote, it looks like, for GBP. So this could definitely be a very volatile day for British pound. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Not too sure if we'll be trading British pound or not, but we'll definitely be keeping an eye on any of the dollar index currencies, so any of the majors. And later in the day, we have dollar index speaker for FOMC. Not FOMC like announcement or anything, it's just a speaker. And little Australian dollar. And then Wednesday we have London session, a lot of GBP news. So London session could be a potential opportunity on Wednesday. That's January 16th, which will be after the Brexit vote. So that'll be any price action should be smoothed out, and we should be able to capture any volatility that was injected in the market due to this news event. Thursday we have G20 meetings, so definitely could be a volatile day here as well. And Friday, retail sales for GBP during London session. So definitely some good news events on the radar for this week. And what I mean by good news events, just like nothing too crazy like interest rate announcements or anything like that. Aside from the Brexit vote, everything else is definitely tradable in my opinion. So we'll definitely have some volatility in the markets, and hopefully we'll definitely be out of these consolidations, which for the most part we kind of are, which we'll talk about that in just a second when we get into the charts. But you guys always make sure to kind of do your analysis first by checking out the different news events for the week, and pretty much just form an idea for different times or days of the week that would be ideal for trading. So we've pretty much done that now. If you want to mark this down in your notes, New York session Tuesday, London Wednesday, London and New York Thursday, and London session on Friday. Those are going to be all the time frames that I'll be pretty much scouting the market for potential trades, and just kind of looking, seeing if I could find something, and if I do take any trades, it will likely be within those days and those time frames. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll move into the technical portion of this video. And first things first, we're looking at the dollar index on a daily chart. And as you guys can recall from last week, we marked out all of our levels, and we've got pretty much everything set on the charts for what we're looking at, right? And last week, you guys can see that we've come down below these equal lows that we had here on the daily. So as mentioned, I was looking for a bigger body candle to get through these equal lows. We've now done that. But also what you guys have to take into account is we've come into monthly support here at the 95.15 and 95.20 level. And with that being said, while we did break below these equal lows, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going lower yet, because we have to take into context that we are at monthly support. Okay, so two scenarios that I'll be watching for here. Obviously one will be bullish and the other will be bearish. Nothing new there. But in terms of how it should look, here's scenario number one, which would be my ideal scenario, which is bullish. So I'd like to see dollar index continue pushing higher, and based off of the fact that we've come down to this support level, I'd like to see them start trading higher from here. Okay, so we've already cleared out the sell side liquidity below the market. Now there's resting buy side liquidity above here at the 97.70 level. So if this market is good for a run higher, this should be the area that we're targeting, right? So there's at least 200 pips there, and that's a decent weekly range in my opinion for a dollar index. So we're obviously going to have to wait for the confirmation first. Now there isn't a particular level right now on the daily on the dollar index that I'll be looking for, aside from we have this swing high that comes in at 97 big figure, and if we get above this, it's pretty much guaranteed. I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's much more high probability that we'll be targeting 97.70 if we can get in fact above 97 big figure. Now we may not have to wait all the way until we get above here. We'll be able to analyze on the lower time frames such as the hourly, 4 hour, and so on, and see if there's something within there that we can actually form the confirmation off of. But that's what I'll be looking for the bullish side, right? Now for the bearish side, like I mentioned, we've already broken below the equal lows. So we've already broken out, right? Now we're potentially retesting. So this retest could just be a retest of old support, now newfound resistance, and we could see the market trade lower. Okay, so if we do start getting some rejection, what I'll be looking for is, let me get my little X here. And what we'll be looking for is the liquidity below the market here. So the low comes in at 94.80, and that'll be our next target for the downside. So let's go ahead and mark that out. And I'm just going to use a black line for this. And let's make sure we have our levels set correctly. 94.80, and visibility, we want this to be viewed on the daily, 1 hour, 4 hour, and down to the minutes. Perfect. Alright, so now that we have all of this set, we know our downside objectives and we know our upside objectives, right? So now it's pretty much just waiting to see which one unfolds. Now again, based on what I've seen in the news events, what I see here in the charts, what I would like to happen would be for this thing to go higher. I don't particularly want to see it go lower, but if that does happen, obviously we're going to be prepared to play both sides of the market. Doesn't matter whether they go up or low, or higher or lower. We're able to take action regardless of either scenario, because of the fact that we have our objectives marked out. So let's drop down to a 4 hour really quickly. I know we typically don't do this, but what I want to show you guys is when I talk about the confirmation and the market really confirming the level that we're coming off of, what I'm looking for is the market to basically give me indications of it either wants to move higher or lower. And this is a perfect example of that, because we've traded into monthly support here, right? You can see we've come in, and this is a 4 hour chart again. So we've come down into monthly support. And let me just say this as well. Whenever you're looking for the confirmation, guys, it can be on any time frame, right? Typically the higher the time frame, the better. So 1 hour, 4 hour, those are really good. I'm typically not looking for if I'm trying to judge the daily direction, I'm using typically the 4 hour or 1 hour to get that confirmation first. I'm not going to jump from the daily down to the 15-minute looking for the confirmation, right? That's just that there's too many time frames in between there that you have to factor in, kind of what's going on the other time frames as well. So back to what I was saying, looking at this, we trade right into the monthly support. Then based off of this, we start trading higher and we form a high, right? Then we come back down, and then what happens? We are unable to break the previous low. Okay, so we're unable to come back below 95 big figure. So what that's telling me is there's underlying strength. So we come back down and we make a higher low point, and then we come all the way up and we break above this high and we make a higher high. So what this is indicating to me is we've got a bullish confirmation off of our monthly level. Okay, so technically this could have been a buy opportunity here. That wouldn't have been something that I would have taken action on, because I like to wait for the confirmation. Now you're probably thinking, what is the confirmation? Hasn't it already confirmed once it comes down here? No, the confirmation is after it's proven to me that it cannot go lower and it wants to go higher. So in order for that to happen, you have to have price action that looks like this. Excuse my poor illustration here. So this is the price action that you need to look for, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high. What do we have here? Low, high, higher low, higher high. So where would I enter based on this pattern? On the retest. Because the market will have to come back down and retest and form another higher low point, right? Because obviously if we're in bullish market structure, we should come back down, but we should not break below this low. So that means we should not break below 95.20, and we should maintain higher prices as long as we're above 95.20. Okay, so what we'll be looking for is the market to come back down within this range, somewhere in here, as long as it's not below 95.20. So anything above 95.20, as long as there's a higher low form there, we'll be expecting higher prices and look for, you know, the market to continue trading higher. So what I'll be looking for is this market to, you know, when it opens up, we should see it trade down, and again, it should not go below 95.20, and from there we should see higher prices. So if that's the case, that'll basically give me the criteria or the signs early on in the week. If this can happen between today and Monday, that would be a good sign for a bullish week on dollar index. So what you guys have to notice as well is we've got this high, and this high right here would break out of 4-hour structure. So it would take us back in the consolidation, but if we get back above this high, what I'm assuming will happen is we should get higher prices. So even if we miss the opportunity here, let me delete all these other circles so you guys don't get confused. Even if we miss this opportunity here, once the market gets above this high, which comes in at 96 big figure, all we're going to be doing is looking for a potential retest, and then we can get on board here or add a second position if we're already in here. Okay, so entry opportunity 1 comes up, breaks above it, retest, entry opportunity 2, and both of those scenarios will allow us to be on or in the trade significantly before our objectives are reached. So our objectives are at 97.70. We would be potential buyers down at 96 big figure, or potentially 95.40 to 95.50. So if you look at that in terms of range, that's a significant amount, almost 200 pips, and we're able to get in before the fact here. Okay, so this is a really good illustration that you guys should, you know, either screenshot or, you know, make a note of. But this is the type of price action you want to look for when you get the confirmation off of the level that you're looking for. So this one is a monthly level. We've dropped down to a daily, but there was nothing clear for us to look for the confirmation. So we moved to a 4-hour, and you guys can see on the 4-hour, we've got the clear confirmation in here. Now we know what we're anticipating going forward for the bullish side. Okay. Now, everything I've said is valid for the bullish side of this pair, or for this trade, right? Now, if for whatever reason the market opens and we break below 95.20, so this was our level, right? If we break below 95.20, we could come back up, form a lower high, and we can continue trading lower. Okay, so this would not be my favorite scenario, but this could happen as well. So we're going to keep an eye out for both. But obviously, like I said, based on the things I've shared and, you know, kind of where we're at, the price action we've seen, I'm expecting higher prices. But the bearish side of things would be if we break below 95.20. As long as we remain above 95.20, I think everything will be in sync for, you know, the bullish side of things, and we should expect lower prices on foreign currency if that does in fact hold, and we, you know, can get higher prices on dollar index. All right, so with that said, let's move over to euro dollar now. And euro dollar, very similar to dollar index. We've broken out of the high that we had mapped out at 1.15 big figure, and we've come right into our monthly resistance level, and we have since traded lower. Okay, so essentially, we've taken out the liquidity above the market here. Now there's resting liquidity below the market down here. Now we can come all the way down here, which this would be my favorite scenario for this pair. I would like to see them come all the way below these equal lows. Now this low, which comes in at 12.17 or 12.20, this low could be a longer term low. So if you scroll out and look, the market's come down, we've taken out liquidity here, we've taken out liquidity back here, and then we've kind of moved into a consolidation, then we've broken out of the consolidation. So, we could definitely see higher prices, but I'm just saying this is not what I'm expecting yet. So we broke out, hit monthly resistance, came back down. Now, since we're back within the consolidation, if we can get that bearish confirmation, what we should be looking for is lower prices to take us below the 1270 level, which will take out these equal lows. Now, once we get back below here, I'm not necessarily expecting them to continue and run below 1.12 big figure. So they can just come below, take out any liquidity. So this will pretty much just be like a run on stops. So after we would run that, say we've come down here, now we've ran the stops that were here, so anyone that was long back here has now been taken out on this move, and we were able to capture this move by selling it, right? Just say that that was the case. Now once we get back, say we do come below here, take out the liquidity and move back within the range, we can look for the same thing I was just showing you guys on dollar index. We'll look for bullish confirmation, and we could see this thing start trading higher. Because as I mentioned, this could be a longer term low, meaning this could be a relatively significant low. This could be in the market for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It doesn't matter, right? But it could be longer term. It doesn't have to just be here for a couple weeks or whatever, right? This is November 2018, so we've already got 2 months or so. Now, the reason that I say once we get below these equal lows we don't have to take this out is because if you look at the price action after making this low, we were unable to kind of break below that, and we've just kind of maintained price above it. So it's looking to me like they're kind of defending this level, but at the end of the day, it's really going to determine on what happens once we get below these equal lows, because we could simply get below the equal lows, retest, and then get a continuation there. Okay, so that's another scenario as well for the sell side, and that would be with a continuation taking out this low here. So that's something I do have in my mind, but in terms of an objective or something that I'm mainly focused on for a target would be these equal lows, and that's for the downside. Now for the upside, we do have some more liquidity resting above the market here, so we can draw this out. And this high comes in at 1620. 1620. Alright, so the next level of liquidity will be resting above here, and that's going to be buy side liquidity. So we can easily find support here where we're at now, and then we could see this market break above this high, make another higher high, come back down, maybe it forms a retest, and we look for a continuation there. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking at for the bullish side of things. Now again, based on the fact that I want to see dollar index trade higher, I'd like to see this pair start to roll over and go for the sell side liquidity. But based on the fact that we've kind of had some strength breaking out of here, don't know whether or not that's going to be the case. But let's move down to a 4 hour and see what we've got here. Alright, so we've got the same thing as dollar index, and you guys can see instead of a bullish confirmation, in this particular scenario we have a bearish confirmation. So the market's come up, formed a high, then we've come back down, formed a low, then the market traded up one last time and it was unable to break above this high. So then we've got a lower high. Then the market comes back down and it shows strength while breaking below this low. And now we've got a lower low. So we've got the bearish confirmation here. Now I do want to say, oftentimes when we're coming off of a monthly support or resistance level, those typically tend to be longer term highs or lows set in the market. Okay, So, one thing that I am considering is 1.1570, where we formed this high here, could be a significant high, and we could hold this high for, several weeks, several months, whatever the time frame is, I don't know. But it could be in place for a while, and we could see the market continue trading lower. So as long as we remain forming lower lows and lower highs, we should be targeting these equal lows here. Now, the real confirmation will be if we can get below this 1420 level. So what we'll look to see early on in the week, we could see this market come back up, make another lower high point. As long as we do not break above 1540, we're still bearish. Okay, so then we'll be looking for a continuation below this low, which at that point we'll have the breakdown on the 4 hour. We'll have a break of structure. We can look for a retest there and look to sell it down here. Okay, so this would be a potential entry opportunity here. Now there may be an entry opportunity within this level around the 15 big figure, so we'll keep an eye out on that. But overall, what we have to be focused on as we get that breakdown here, we'll be looking for a potential sell setup, and then we can sell it off into 1270. So again, about 200 pips or so. So that's perfectly in line with our dollar index analysis. Now it's just, like I said, for dollar, it's just a matter of kind of waiting to see which scenario unfolds. Do we get strength? Do we get weakness? Kind of where do we go from there? So I'm going to keep this line on my charts as well, and the low is 1422, so we're going to use 1425, and visibility for this, we're going to do 4 hour, 1 hour, and minutes. Alright, so this will be our next downside objective, which will also give us the break of structure on a 4 hour time frame. So keep that on your charts, and kind of be aware of where we're at in price and the things that we're looking for. But hopefully you guys can see and understand that while we're looking on the daily, there's no confirmation of bearish market structure. There's no type of breakdown for a break in structure or anything like that, right? Because we couldn't use this low here because this isn't a daily swing low, so this wouldn't be a break in market structure. But on the 4 hour, this is a low, so we can actually see a break in market structure there on the 4 hour. So sometimes you have to dial a little bit lower into the time frames. 4 hour is still a very good time frame to be kind of basing your trade off of. And you guys can see this is a clear example of that. The daily, it doesn't show it, but we can see what the daily chart looks like and the levels it's coming off of. But based off of this information, when we look at the 4 hour, you can see the price action a lot cleaner, right? We've got the bearish market structure, and we've got a low here that would indicate a break in market structure. Okay, so this is how I always kind of form my ideas, and also kind of set the expectations of where I'll be looking to enter for a trade as well as exit for a trade. So and it should be the same for you guys. You should, before you ever enter a trade, you should know where you're looking to enter and where you're looking to exit, right? And we've done that already. We've already kind of came to the conclusion that if we go back on a 4 hour, we'll be looking to be a potential seller around 15 big figure, and we'll be targeting the 1270 level. And if there is no setup here at 15 big figure, we'll be looking to be a seller again at 1420 on the breakdown, and then we'll look for the same target as 1270. So we know our entries, we know our exits, right? There should be no confusion there, and there should be no you shouldn't overcomplicate that point, right? Because now you already know. You know where you're entering, you know where you're exiting. Now it's just a matter of waiting to get the confirmation, right? Or if you already have the confirmation, wait for the retest. And then once you have that, real simple, you're just buying or selling based off that, waiting for your target. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Just stick with your analysis, stick with what you see in the charts, and just let it unfold, right? Obviously, if they start making moves against you and it looks like you're going to get stopped out, don't hold on to your position. Make sure that you do, you want to minimize, risk and minimize loss. So make sure that you are kind of, scaling off on your position or whatever you need to do. It just, exactly how I explained to you guys is what you want to make sure that you're doing when you're in a trade. So those of you in the premium group will obviously know, because I update you, every couple, either minutes or hours, based on the fact that, what we're doing in the charts and kind of how I'm managing the trade. So if I'm scaling off a portion, or if I'm exiting, or if I'm holding on to it, you guys are all made aware of that. So there should be no confusion there. But for anyone that's not in the premium group, make sure that you are reducing risk, and if you are if it's coming towards your stop, make sure that you're there's no reason for you to have to take the full stop if you already are assuming that they're going to run your stop. So just make sure that you are closing the position a little early if it actually is indicating that the direction that you thought was going to pan out is not panning out. So for example, say I get in for a sell here, and say the market starts to break down a little bit, but ultimately does not break this low, and then we come all the way back up, and then we make a higher high here. At that point, I would look to probably either mitigate some of my position or close the whole position, because my stop would be above here at 1570, right? And depending on the price action, maybe above 1540. But for the most part, if we've come down, we were unable to make a lower low, and we've come all the way back up to make a higher high, chances are they're probably going to run this high, and they're probably going to run this high. So there's no point in me waiting for them to hit my stop loss when they've already pretty much proven that they don't want to go lower yet. So I should just either reduce risk on my position or just close the position out in full. Okay, so hopefully that was pretty insightful to you guys. Let's go ahead and run through GBP USD, and then we will wrap it up for the day. Alright, so GBP USD, this is one of the only ones that's really not, it doesn't look the same as Euro and Dollar Index, for example. So you guys can see, we've been talking about this long wick here, and while I don't think this is a long-term low or anything like that, it obviously did cause some chaos for retail, wiped out some stops. And a lot of people are probably thinking that this is a longer term low, and that could be the case, but as of right now, I don't see that. Now, what we have done is, we had this high here, we consolidated around the level, and we did break above it on Friday. So I'm interested to see how we start off the week. Are we able to kind of maintain support here within the the 1.28 level, or do we get back below, Friday's low, which is the 27 big figure, and go for lower prices? So here's some of the things that I'd keep an eye out on. Scenario number one, for the bullish side, we could potentially just retest this high here at 28 big figure, and from there we could see higher prices and get back above 28.60, and just look for a continuation above these highs back here. Now that's what we could see for the bullish side. But for the bearish side, if we get back below, so we got this little consolidation in here, and these lows are relatively 27 big figure to 27.10. So if we get below there, we can look for a retest, and then we can look to sell it for lower prices, because they'll be running the liquidity back here, and then we've also got some liquidity back here that they could be targeting. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking for on the daily for this pair in particular. Now, with the Brexit vote that we do have this week for this pair, it's pretty evident that we could see some volatility, so this could definitely be one of the scenarios we see. And I'm definitely going to be monitoring that, but I don't want to be participating during the craziness of that specific vote, so I'll probably elect to go with like Euro Dollar or one of the other majors or something if I can see a clear setup. But based on what we see here with GBP USD, just like Euro Dollar, there isn't too much to go off of on the daily in my opinion. But if you come down to a 4-hour, you can pretty much see we're consolidating in here, we dropped all the way lower, took out the sell stops, come back, we've consolidated around this high, and then we finally on Friday broke through it. So this is indicative of potential bullishness in terms of the technicals and what it looks like here. So I am pretty much just waiting for this one, because I either need to see a retest of 28 big figure and continuation higher, or I need to see a break below. So let's go ahead and put this on our charts. Or I need to see a break below 27.10. which to me would indicate a breakdown, and from there we could see lower prices. Right now, we don't have to go necessarily all the way back below this low, but nonetheless, with a breakdown below here, we can definitely capture some type of a move within there. Even if it's the 26 big figure, that's still 100 pips, and that would definitely be a solid trade. So that's pretty much what I'll be looking for British pound. Now, I don't necessarily think that we're going to continue consolidating or anything this week for this pair, due to the fact that we do have that Brexit vote. So I'm really interested to see what we get in terms of price action for this thing this week. But I'm just being honest, I don't necessarily have a clear idea whether we're going to go higher or lower yet. And this is kind of still like the markets are still working themselves out, and that's just kind of where I'm at in terms of it. Now, I do have a relatively clear read on dollar index and euro dollar right now. This one just kind of hasn't given me what I'm looking for yet, so I've got the levels marked out. We're obviously above this level here, which potentially does mean higher prices. I just need to wait for that confirmation, so I need to see a retest and then a continuation. Then we can look for buy setups. Or we need to see a breakdown below these lows, and we'll look for a continuation lower. But that's really, the two scenarios that I'm looking for. I don't necessarily think we're going to move into a consolidation. Obviously, I could be wrong, but just based on what I see in here, I think that we're either going to get a continuation from here, or we're going to come break below these lows, and we could move back into this consolidation, but there will likely be a trade set up based on once we break below 27.10. We can have some targets down here on the lower time frames, and that will provide us a potential opportunity for a trade. So even though we could kind of move into this consolidation and we may not come all the way back below this low, there will still be an opportunity for us to find within that. Alright, so last one before we wrap it up, guys, Euro GBP. Honestly, I was pretty surprised when I seen this. So Friday we come all the way back down, and we've made this lower low here. So to me, I was seeing this liquidity be built up above Euro GBP, and I was thinking, they're definitely going to want to take this thing higher and be targeting longer term, this 93 big figure. As you guys can see, we did not get that. We had a real rejection here on Friday. So with this thing kind of moving back into consolidation, we can see both GBP USD and Euro USD moving in sync with the dollar index. So for example, if we see dollar index moving higher, we can see both GBP USD and Euro USD moving down this week, so weaker, and Euro GBP could in fact just kind of stay moving in a consolidation. Okay, so we can just come back up, and I know you guys know what a consolidation is, so we don't have to really draw this out, but we could simply just kind of move in this defined range here, and we don't have to necessarily go any direction, whether that be higher or lower. We could just kind of move into a sideways range, and if that happens, then for sure we can definitely see GBP USD and Euro USD move in sync with the dollar index, and obviously provide us some trading opportunities. So I'll be keeping an eye on Euro GBP, but in my opinion, I think that we're probably just going to consolidate in here. Now, if we don't, I'm looking for higher prices nonetheless, because there is liquidity built up above here. There's also liquidity resting below the market, so it would be surprising, but we could definitely see a sell-off on this, which if that's the case, that would promote weaker euro and stronger GBP. So based on what dollar index is doing at the time, we could see a very strong rally up in GBP USD. I don't see that being the case yet, but definitely something that I have in my head for like an idea. So just keep those things in mind, guys. But overall, I think this pair here will likely just kind of move sideways and allow both Euro USD and GBP USD to move in sync with the dollar index. So that's it for today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here, and I'll open it up for Q&A if you guys have any questions.